Let's have a look at an example now involving the drawing of a box plot based on a set of scores. There's two parts to this example. So part A, we're going to analyze a set of scores, come up with the 5-number summary, and draw the box and whisker plot to represent that 5-number summary for that set of scores. And then the other part of the example is basically just a set of questions that are based around the box and whisker plot we're about to draw. Okay, let's have a look at the question. So the number of points scored by a particular player in a series of games are 4, 5, 5, 7, so on and so on. Okay. Part I, determine the 5-number summary for the data, and we're going to do this using technology. You should know how to do this though manually as well. Okay, you need to order the data. Okay, if you're going to do this manually, you order the data first, you work out the median, and you work out the quartiles. Okay, and you do that. You can do that manually, and we've talked about this before. Okay, however, a lot of the questions that we see will expect you to also know how to calculate this using the stat mode on your calculator, which is what we're going to do in this video. Then we're going to draw the box and whisker plot, and this is, I think, where you really need to pay very special attention, especially to the whole bit about drawing it to scale. Very, very important. Okay, now we're going to comment on the shape of it, of the distribution, based on the box and whisker plot. What do you think? Negatively skewed, positively skewed, or symmetrical? All right. Okay, so let's start. Okay, and I might just move that over a little bit so you can see the calculator again. I'll just brighten that camera. Okay, mode 2, 1. All right, so should be hopefully by now getting familiar with getting the calculator now into stat mode. Okay, and let's enter the data in. So 4, 5, 5, 7, 11, 3, 12, 8, 6, 3, 7, 7, 15, 13. Well, there should be 14 scores. Shift 1 to bring up the stat menu. Okay. This time we're not going to use var. Remember, var was for the mean and the standard deviation. We want the median. Okay, and the quartiles. So we're going to use min max for that. All right. So, okay, the minimum score. Okay. Right, is equal to 3. Let's work out Q1. So min max, Q1, number 3. Okay, that's 5. Okay, let's work out the median. Number 5, min max. Option 4 there, med, where it says MED. That's 7. Okay. Upper quartile, Q3, shift 1, min max, number 5, Q3, that's 11. And the maximum score, okay, number 2 is 15. The minimum and maximum, you can probably work that out by inspection anyway, so you probably don't have to waste too much time, using the calculator to work that out for you. But sometimes, if there's enough scores there, it's possible that you could miss the minimum and the maximum, especially if they're not in order. So that's why the minimum and the maximum function is actually quite useful in the calculator. All right, next part is we're going to represent this data on a box and whisker plot. So the first thing we're going to need, I'm going to draw this on some grid paper. Okay, so if you do have some grid paper, that would be very useful. And you'll also need a ruler as well. Okay, and I'm going to use a pencil for this. Only because, again, being a diagram, it's quite possible to be making mistakes along the way, and let's just sort of make sure that if you do make a mistake, you can rub it out. All right, so that's the 5-number summary. Okay, now we need to think about an appropriate scale. Okay, remember that we have to draw box and whisker plots to scale. So minimum is 3, the maximum is 15. Okay, so we could either probably use like a 15 centimeter ruler. Might just put this out of the way for a moment and bring okay, there's the grid paper there. All right, so, okay, this is what I mean by scale. So, all right, we could, you know what? I think we'll do that. Why don't we do that? I might just draw it on the top part. Maybe draw the scale. Actually, you know what? I'll draw it here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the scale. Okay. Over here. Yep. Okay, I'm going to draw a little bit beyond there. Okay. Yep. And each centimeter, I'm just going to do it because it's a 5mm grid that I'm using there. Okay. So there's 0. So now I'm going to draw in my scale first. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay. So, well, it's just a number line, right? Just as long as it's a number line that's drawn to scale, that's sufficient. Now we can locate the 5-number summary on this scale. Okay, and just to make it a bit clearer, I'm actually going to use no, I'll do it in pencil still. I did say I was going to do this in pencil. Hopefully it can be seen on the camera. All right, so the minimum score, I might just bring this back again, right? The minimum score was 3. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll locate the 3. Okay, so I might just put a small dot there for the 3. Okay, Q1, okay, is 5, median is 7. Okay, so Q1 is 5, median 7. Okay, right, Q3 is 11, and the max is 15. Maximum score is 15. So we've got 11 and 15. Okay, so we now have our 5 very important points, our 5-number summary. Okay, now we can proceed to draw the box and whisker plot. Okay, so I might make these endpoints a little bit larger. Okay, because they represent the ends of each of the whiskers, right, the lower and the upper. Okay, so what I might do now is I might just do it just very lightly there, and just very lightly there, just so I know I can locate the box and the median line as well. Okay, so I'm going to draw the box. Okay, and I might just draw the box, so hopefully I'll try and draw that as neatly as I can for you. Alright, and one here as well. Okay, so try and keep your work neat and tidy. Okay, this is where it's, I guess you got to hone your artistic talents a little bit. Alright, and if you struggle with these kind of diagrams, okay, a little bit of practice will certainly go a long way to ensuring that your diagrams are as neat and tidy as possible. Okay. Yep. Okay, I might draw the whiskers in now, and then we'll draw in the median line. Okay. Alright, so there the whiskers there. Sorry, the page keeps moving, but okay, finally we'll draw in the median line. Okay, and there's our completed box and whisker plot for the data given. So this is for the points scored, okay, for a particular player. So I might just put it here so this is. Right. There's our points scored. Okay, and that answers part 2. Represent this data on a box and whisker plot. Okay, then last part of part A is to comment on the shape of the distribution. Okay, so looking at that, what can you determine, or what do you think? Do you think it's negatively skewed? In other words, the tail's on the right hand side. Okay, sorry, did I say positively? No. Negatively skewed, tail on the left. Positively skewed, tail on the right. Or symmetrical. Okay. What do you think? Okay. Take note of where the median is. The median represents the 50% mark. Okay, or the 50% point. In other words, half the data is just in this little bit alone. Okay, 25%, 25%, and then data seems to stretch off into the distance there to the right hand side. So this would be probably or most likely positively skewed. So the median tends to be quite low. Now, if we wanted to, we could work out the mean, and that could be another indicator that it is in fact positively skewed. Okay, so maybe for this question, we could say that it appears to be positively skewed. Okay. Okay, to the more inquisitive of you, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to work out the mean as well. I'm just going to do this as an extra. In fact, go to var now. The data's still in there. Let's have a look at number 2, the mean. Okay, the mean is 7.57. Okay, so if the median is 7, okay, the median is 7, the mean is 7.57. So the mean's only slightly higher than the median. It does indicate there's a slight positive skew to this distribution. So remember what positively skewed looks like? It looks like, I might just draw it on the side here, it looks like that, right? And has a bit of a tail there on the right hand side. Okay, right. And I think getting the mean to be higher than the median might not be by a large amount, but it kind of supports that argument, but probably not by a whole lot. Right, let's have a look at part B now. Using the box plot drawn in part A, okay, answer the following questions. Find the interquartile range. Okay, so recall, interquartile range is the width of the box. Okay, so interquartile range. Okay, so starting at 11, going to 5, so 11 and taking away 5. So the interquartile range is the difference between the two. Okay, so 11 minus 5 is 6. Okay. Right. And that equals 6. Okay. What percentage of games did the player score 5 points or less? Okay, let's go back to 5 points or less. Okay, so that's at Q1. Okay, or less. Well, it's really from 3 to 5, isn't it? So that would be 25% of the data. Okay, or 25% of the games. Okay, and how many games scored between 7 and 15? How many games scored between 7 and 15 points? Or did the player score, should I say, between 7 and 15 points? Okay, inclusive. So, okay, did the player score between 7 and 15? Okay, let's go back to our box-and-whisker plot there. So between 7 and 15. Okay, so there's 7, right? There's 15. So 25% of the data is in the upper part of the box, and then another 25% of the data, or 25% of the scores, is in the upper whisker as well. So that's actually 50% of the games played, isn't it? Okay, so this is, right? Okay, this will probably be a 2-mark question. 1 mark to determine that it's actually 50% of the games, and then a 2nd mark to actually give the actual number of games. So how many games played were there? Okay, in fact, you would have, if you had counted the scores earlier, right, if you wanted to, there is actually a function for that in the calculator. If you go to, so I'll do this again, shift 1, var, and number 1 is n, right? So we don't use that often. That tells you how many scores you've entered in. So assuming you've entered, it's quite useful when there's quite a few scores, so like 25 or 30 scores, and you've forgotten how many there were. Rather than counting them all again, it's quicker to do it this way. So n is 14. Okay, so number of games played, or number of games played where there's between 7 and 15 points scored is equal to 50% of 14, which equals 7 games. Okay, so this part was about analysis of the box and whisker plot itself, assuming that you've been given one. How do you interpret it and how do you read it? Okay, thank you for watching, everyone.